Hello everyone, welcome back to Twilight Tales. If you're new here, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with someone who isn't afraid to sleep with the lights off, because tonight's story might just change that. They say sleepwalking is harmless, that the mind is asleep, detached from its host, wandering blindly. But what if the sleepwalker isn't asleep at all? What if someone walks, speaks, even kills, fully aware but unable to stop? Jason Teller had never slept well, not since the accident. He was 32, recently divorced, and had just moved into a crumbling farmhouse on the outskirts of Green Hollow, a town known more for its fog than its friendliness. He wanted quiet. He wanted distance. And most of all, he wanted to forget. The farmhouse was old, the kind that creaked when you blinked and groaned when the wind changed. Jason didn't mind. He welcomed the noise. It made his own thoughts feel less loud. His first few nights there were uneventful, save for a recurring dream. In it, he would stand in front of the mirror in his bathroom, staring at himself. Except it wasn't quite him. The man in the mirror looked like him, sure, but his eyes were empty, black, smiling. Jason always woke up drenched in sweat, gasping like someone had been choking him, but each time he brushed it off. Bad dreams were better than bad memories. Then the noises started. At first, it was just the front door unlocking itself. He'd hear the click at 3:13 a.m., always 3:13, and find the door slightly ajar in the morning. He blamed the wind. Drafty. Houses and all that. But then, things moved. Not just keys or phones. Knives. One morning, he found a butcher knife stuck upright into his living room wall. Just there. No explanation. No sign of forced entry. Jason started locking every door and window. He even bought a chain lock for the front door and a camera, cheap, motion detecting, and easy to install. He needed proof that he wasn't going insane. The footage from that first night made his stomach turn. At 3:13 a.m., the motion camera clicked on. A figure emerged from the hallway. It was him, Jason. He shuffled to the door, calm and slow. He undid the lock, opened it, then just stood there. For 20 straight minutes, he stood in the doorway, unmoving, as if waiting for something, or someone. Then he turned, walked to the kitchen, and pulled out a knife. Jason's hands trembled as he watched himself grip it, blade down, like a soldier in some ancient war. He pressed the tip against his chest, then paused, before slowly withdrawing it and placing it upright into the wall. Then, like nothing happened, he walked back to bed. Jason had no memory of any of it. He showed the footage to a therapist, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes who called it parasomnia with dissociative episodes. In layman's terms, sleepwalking with a twist of psychotic frosting. Her advice? Try melatonin. That night, Jason doubled the dose. He awoke in the woods. No shoes, no coat, just boxers, goosebumps, and blood, dried and flaking across his hands and thighs. He stumbled back to the house as the sun was rising, his skin cold and raw. He called the police. A hiker had been found 20 minutes away, dead, throat slit, eyes wide open like they'd seen hell itself. Jason didn't tell them about the camera. He didn't tell them about the knife or the blood. He lied, saying he'd been sleepwalking and had no idea what had happened. The officer nodded slowly. "We'll be in touch." That night, Jason stared at himself in the mirror, but his reflection didn't move when he did. It just smiled. "You're awake now," it whispered. Jason smashed the mirror with his fist. He buried the camera in the backyard and bought another, this one hidden in the ceiling vent above his bed. He didn't want answers anymore. He wanted evidence. If something had possessed him, if something had taken him over, he needed to see it happen. He set the camera to record the entire night. The next morning, Jason didn't wake up in bed. He woke up standing in the living room holding a dead cat, his neighbor's Siamese, its neck twisted like a rag. He dropped it, horrified. He ran to the bathroom and puked until blood came up. When he checked the footage, it showed him sleeping, peacefully. Not a twitch, not a movement. All night, until 3:13 a.m. Then the camera went black, static. When it returned, the room was empty. He was gone. Then, at 4:01 a.m., Jason reappeared, bloody, silent, crawling into bed like a snake slipping into fresh skin. Jason laughed, then cried, then laughed again. The thing inside him, it was hiding. It knew when it was being watched, and it liked to perform. Over the next 2 weeks, 3 more animals disappeared. Then, a homeless man was found near the railroad, gutted, his organs arranged in a perfect circle. Jason started sleeping in the bathtub, handcuffing himself to the pipe. It didn't matter. He'd wake up the next day in the fields, muddy, bruised, and hungry. He tried confessing at the station, but they didn't buy it. "You got any proof?" the deputy asked. Jason wanted to scream. He almost did. Instead, he returned to the farmhouse and locked himself in the basement. No windows. Just a bed, a sink, and walls thick enough to drown the screaming. He stayed there for 5 nights. On the 6th, he woke up upstairs. The lock on the basement door had been melted. Not broken, melted. The knife was missing again. He couldn't do this anymore. He drove to the nearest motel an hour away, paid cash, left his phone behind. That night, someone knocked at his door. It was 3:13 a.m. He opened it. It was him. Jason stared into his own face, except this version was pale, gaunt, with eyes black as tar. "Finally," it said, and lunged. They fought. Fists, blood, broken teeth. Jason stabbed the thing with a shard of a lamp. It screamed, not in pain but in laughter. "You're not asleep anymore," it hissed. "You're awake, and that's when I'm strongest." Jason blacked out. He woke up, on the floor of his farmhouse alone. His body ached. His mouth tasted like copper. His reflection stood in the mirror again. "You can't run from what you are," it said. He tried to shoot himself. The gun misfired. The bullet grazed his cheek and embedded itself into the wall behind him. And in that moment, Jason finally understood. He wasn't possessed. He wasn't haunted. He was splitting. Whatever part of him had shattered after the accident, after watching his wife drown while he stood frozen on the ice, it had grown into something real. Something sharp, something bloodthirsty. And now, it was winning. Jason decided on one last plan. If he couldn't kill himself, maybe he could trap whatever was inside. He returned to the basement and sealed himself in. Steel doors, chains, concrete, no exits, no air vents, no cameras. He told no one. He stayed, he slept, for weeks, until the townspeople began to talk. Children missing, dogs found flayed, a man seen walking through the fog, wearing Jason's face but smiling too wide. The farmhouse, burned to the ground a month later. Arson, they said. No survivors found, but sometimes, on foggy nights when the air is thick and the moon is thin, people swear they see him, walking barefoot along the road, humming softly to himself, hands covered in something dark. They say, he's sleepwalking, but his eyes are wide open. Sleep tight, if you can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this tale with someone who always sleepwalks at night, just in case they're not as asleep as they seem. This has been Twilight Tales, and remember, not everything you do in your sleep and stays in your sleep.